Teaching English Radio India,
a radio series for teachers of English.
brought to you by the British Council. Hello and welcome to another program in our series for teachers. I'm Bibash Dash and today we'll be discussing teaching reading. And here are some of the teachers from all over India who will be talking about how they teach reading skills to their students.
Hi, I'm Deepali from Pune, Maharashtra.
I am Virendra from Delhi.
Hi, I'm Beena from Pune. Hi, I'm Shefali from Trivandrum, Kerala.
I'm Mala from Rajkot in Gujarat.
In today's world, a lot of knowledge is written in English, in books and magazines, on posters, on packets, on laptops or mobile phones. Text in English is everywhere. Reading can be just for pleasure, for example, a poem, a detective novel, or even a comic book. But reading is also useful practically. We might need to read an instruction manual or find important information in an English language newspaper, or maybe get key facts from the internet. So what can teachers do in the classroom to give students the confidence to read in English in real life? Often, teachers will read aloud to their students, or students will be asked to read sections of their textbook aloud. But how effective is reading aloud if we want our students to develop their reading skills and understanding of a text? Here are teachers Deepali and Mala.
When I read the text aloud, I find that many students don't follow the text, and I can never tell whether they have understood and followed or they are completely lost.
An effective reader is someone who feels confident and who feels enthusiastic about reading a text. It can't come just from listening to a teacher. They will have to feel confident with how to, tackle the text, in the sense how to word attack, when I meet a new word, how can I get the meaning out of the context, and how can I read fast, get the idea of it, and enjoy it. So get students into the habit of reading. The students have to read on their own. And so teachers will have to find compelling stories which will keep them engaged.
Deepali and Mala. We can help students with these skills of reading in English, but as with anything we teach, we need to be organized. We need a plan.
The main parts of our lesson plan are just some pre-reading kind of activity, and then the while reading, what you are supposed to do while you are in the middle of the lesson, and then the post-reading of the lesson, that is a recapitulation. So you have to basically divide your lesson into these three parts: pre, while, and post.
That was Virendra, who divides reading into pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading. That sounds well organized. Now let's look at the first step, pre-reading. For Beena, it is very important to warm the students up, not just jump into reading a text cold.
I think the most important thing for teachers to do is to prepare their students to read the text. So they can ask them a few questions, find out what they know about the text, ask them a few questions about the topic, find out whether the students are familiar with the topic, and then present the text to them. So in short, never present the text cold to the students. Always warm them up with a few questions first. For example, if the text is about whales, the teachers can first ask the students what they know about whales, and probably a question like which is the biggest animal, and ask them what they know about that topic before presenting the text to them.
Beena wants students to start thinking about what they are going to read. She says, ask them some questions about the topic, and Deepali gave us an example from the deep seas, preparing for a text about whales. Activities like these help students learn the skill of predicting what is in a text. Let's now go and visit a classroom in action. In her school in Delhi, Rita is about to start a reading activity with her students. They have a storybook with text and pictures.
So students, today we will come to know about a story. The name of the story is Razia and her pink elephant. So do you know anything about Razia? So do you know this name Razia?
In history.
In history, you must have heard this name Razia.
Rita is encouraging the students to tell her what they already know about Razia, the character in the title of the story.
Razia Sultan. Yes, Razia Sultan. Razia was a queen, as a first emperor or a queen, a lady emperor of Delhi's history, of Delhi. So this is the story about Razia and her pink elephant.
Rita has now shared the title of the story and called on her students to think about this name, Razia. Who is she? What do they know about her? Starting with a discussion about the title or theme is a good idea for this kind of pre-reading task. It awakens their interest in the topic before the actual reading. Notice how she prompts them to get information rather than telling them. Shefali thinks this makes them more interested in the topic.
We could show them the title of the text or show them a picture related to the text and then ask them certain questions based on that, or ask them what they feel about it or what they expect to read, that there is an involvement, a sense of wanting to know what is there in that, which is very important.
We've heard how teachers prepare their students for the theme or topic of a reading text. But what about the language, the new words and expressions they will find?
If I had to get the class to read a text, I would like to teach them some words which they might find difficult, that might hinder or that might obstruct their reading, so that when they read the passage, they don't have to stop there and worry about those words.
Shefali thinks it's a good idea to teach key words in the text that might be difficult to understand. This is done before they read. What's the advantage of this?
When they're reading through the text, they don't have to stop anywhere. They just go through the whole thing at a stretch, and which kind of enhances your pleasure in reading. So you don't feel that, oh, this passage is too difficult for me, and you don't give up.
You are listening to Teaching English Radio India, a radio series for teachers of English, brought to you by the British Council.
Now it is time for the students to read. And it seems there are two kinds of reading skills coming up. Here's one of them.
And then we get a quick reading done. The students can just read the text to themselves, and then there can be more questions that, what do you think the story is about? Or what did you understand from a quick reading, a skimming of the text?
A skimming of the text. Skimming. What does Beena mean by that?
Skimming is a quick reading to see if they can glance through the text and get some meaning out of their first reading.
It's a quick read by the students where they are not looking for details, just a general idea, the gist of the text. This means setting a couple of general questions and asking students not to worry too much about understanding everything. Teachers can encourage students to read quickly and silently. You can time them to increase their reading speed, and when they have finished, they can compare their answers and discuss in class. Back in her classroom, Rita got her students to read the first part of the story Razia and the Pink Elephant and answer a couple of basic questions about who was involved. Now she asks for some more information about this part of the story and the relationship of the characters. Let's listen.
Razia, who is introducing Razia here? Who is introducing Razia here? Her friend introducing Razia here. So, anything else you come to know about Razia here? No. About her? Father. About her? Father or grandfather? Grandfather. So,
Rita and her students preparing to read. Did you notice the way she corrected them? It wasn't her father, it was her grandfather. Now they can go back to the text and start to read for details, which is sometimes called scanning. To practice the skill of reading for details, you need to set questions which require specific answers. This can be identifying some specific facts, such as dates, the time of an event, places, names, etc. The teacher can then set more detailed questions or tasks, such as completing a chart. This can be done on the board or on paper that is given out to groups of students. Students enjoy having a purpose when they read. While reading activities will help students to practice for the skills of reading for the main idea and reading for details. Here's Dipali again.
First, given them the questions, I've asked them to think of what answers those questions might have. Then I ask them to read the text and answer the questions. They do this silently and then compare their answers maybe with the person sitting next to them or in a group. Then I ask them to share their answers with the whole class. In this way, I make sure that my students are not afraid of giving the wrong answer because they first checked with their peers, and I also ensure that everybody's read the text.
In Rita's classroom, the teacher doesn't set more detailed questions herself. She asks the students to imagine what will happen at the end of the short story. In groups, they come up with their own versions of the story.
Can you imagine further about the story? Decide in groups, sit in groups, you 3, you 3 and you 3. All students in groups of 3 and discuss how...
As they worked in groups, we asked Rita about this activity.
They are trying to find the end of the story. They are doing the critical thinking about the story. How could the story end up? Once they end up, I will ask each group to stand up and say their part of the story, how the story ends. So there is a discussion. The students I can ask them which is the better end, who had done the very good ending of the story. So I think you have finished with your group. You have made your mind that how the story ending up. So Ganesh, can you tell how the story ends up? What happened at the end of the story?
There was a girl. Her name is Razia. Her elephant is still in the forest. She was very sad.
Well, sadly, we must leave Rita's classroom there, as the students go back to the short story to find out what really happened, comparing the details of their versions to the events in the original version. If students have their own copies of the book, this could be done as homework. Let's summarize some important points that teachers talked about today. We can help our students to become better readers by giving them activities before they read, while they are reading, and after they have read a text. The reading skills our students need to develop include predicting, reading to get the main idea, and reading for specific details. Before reading, we can discuss what might be in a text, help with some vocabulary, or write some questions we hope the text will answer. We can set a few general questions to help the students with the skill of understanding the main idea. To help with reading for details, we can ask students to find dates, names, or other information to answer questions or complete a chart. Or, like Rita, we can ask them to compare what they think will happen in a story to the real one. I hope this has given you a few ideas for your own teaching. So thanks to all those teachers who helped us today. Enjoy your next reading lesson, and until next time, this is Bibash Dash saying goodbye.